Good evening, welcome to the January 12th meeting of the Lowell License Commission. Secretary Wynn, was the meeting posted?
Yes.
Number one on the agenda, please.
The first item would be our minutes for meeting of December 15th. If you wish, we can continue that for to the end of the meeting.
We wouldn't want to do a dishonor to Commissioner Krieger, so we will do that.
Okay. Second item on our agenda is the application for a special one-day license to sell, dispense malt beverages and wines only, or either one. Patricia Donahue? I guess Patricia must think we're starting at a later time. Now we'll go to number 3, application for special one-day licenses to dispense wines only. Steve Syverson, President of the Arts League of Lowell, Inc., at 307 Market Street. Steve has filed 4 applications for wine dispensing permits, artist reception for patents on Saturday, January 28th, 2017, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., a reception for Woman Looking at Woman on Saturday, February the 11th, 2017, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., artist reception, It's About Time, that's for Saturday, March 18th, 2017, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., and 4th is the artist reception for Gates and Gateways, Saturday, May 20th, 2017, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
State your name for the record, please.
Steve Severson.
Hey, Steve, got 4 events going on here.
Yep.
Questions or comments from other board members? Move for approval by Commissioner Howe, seconded by Commissioner Donahue. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Steve, you do a good job. Thank you.
We have another applicant for a wine dispensing permit, Jim Diamond, who is the Executive Director of the Brush Art Gallery and Studios at 256 Market Street. The exhibit is a public reception, Sign of the Times, for Saturday, January 28, 2017, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m.
State your name for the record, please.
Jim Diamond.
Hi, Jim, how are you?
Good.
You've held these licenses before?
Yes.
Yep. Any questions for the board? No?
No.
Commissioners? Move for approval by Commissioner Howe, seconded by Commissioner Donahue. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Good luck with your event.
Following which, we have special events permit for amplification outdoor public entertainment. Henry Marchand is here to represent the City of Lowell for this Winterfest 2017. This would be inclusive of music, video, public address with amplification for Friday, February 24, 2017, from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., and Saturday, February 25, 2017, from 12 noon to 11 p.m. There are outdoor venues. There is the JFK Plaza at Arcan Drive and Lucy Larkin Park.
Young man, state your name for the record.
Henry Marchand, Cultural Affairs and Special Events.
How are you, Henry?
Good, thank you.
Good. Another year?
Pardon me?
Another year.
Another year.
All right.
New changes, but
Pretty much
should
the
be a lot
same,
of fun. Yeah, some
Okay.
new additions, yeah.
Questions, comments from the board? Motion by Commissioner Donahue, seconded by Commissioner Howe. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Good luck.
Thank you, Commissioner.
You bet. Have a good night.
Is Noel Powell here?
Everybody's having a problem with the 6 o'clock time, I think, Ryan. Let's move on to the next one.
Starting with number 6, we have a public hearing on the application by an entity known as LD Holdings, LLC, doing business as Revolution. Lauren DeSalvo is the managing member. This is for a transfer of the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant license from the licensee Mill City Ballroom, Inc., Joel Asadorian, manager, for premises at 74 Merrimack Street. A legal notice had been published in the Lowell Sun on December 30th, 2016. It is requested that Sean K. Brine be approved as manager of record for LD Holdings LLC. And LD Holdings LLC has also filed applications for licenses for Carmen Vittler, entertainment in a licensed restaurant for live music, disc jockey and jukebox, and for automatic amusement device.
Secretary Wynn, before they introduce themselves to the board, I see that we're missing Deputy Superintendent Webb tonight. Is this something that we should hold off, or does he might think this is at 6:30, and do we need the presence of the Lowell Police
It's
Department?
possible that Deputy Superintendent Webb also thinks we're starting a little bit later than which we've been accustomed to do. I have no idea whether he would have to offer any input on this particular matter to do with the hearing. If you want to,
I think I would want his presence here, and if we can maybe make a text or a phone call to him, if some representative from the Lowell Police Department would be here, I think I'd feel a little bit better. I don't know, I'd yield the floor to Commissioner Donahue or how they feel.
Agreed.
I would like to wait for the police department to be here.
All right. If you don't mind, Counselor, just give us a few minutes. Actually, why don't we just hold off on the agenda? Let me make a few phone calls and making sure that we
Okay.
have some
So you
representation.
want to recess for a minute?
Well, let's recess for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, I got in touch with the chief. Cliff and Terry on the way. They thought it was- Actually, Terry should be coming up. He's been sitting out front for 15 minutes, he said. Ryan. Secretary Nguyen?
Commission move to, consider moving to, motion to resume regular session.
Yes, and let's go back to number 2 on the agenda, please.
Okay, picking up regarding number 2, the item on our meeting agenda is the application for a special one-day license to sell, dispense malt beverages of wine only, or either one. Patricia Donahue, who is here for Gallery Z at 167 Market Street, has filed 5 applications for the sale and dispensing of beer and wine, starting with the event called Wooten Firebox Performance, Saturday, January 21st, 2017, from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., followed by a Sunday brunch with Stephen Clement performance on Sunday, January 29th, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Also, the art opening, France to America with Love, Serge Blinko, Saturday, February 4th, 2017, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. A Sunday brunch performance for Sunday, February 5th, 2017, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And last is a fundraiser for the Miracle Providers Chocolate and Wine Pairing, Sunday, February 12th, 2017, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Good evening, station name for the record. Patricia, you've held these licenses before?
Yes, I have.
Any problems with those licenses?
None at all.
None at all? Wish of the board. Moved by Commissioner Donahue, seconded by Commissioner McCarthy. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Patricia, good luck with the events.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner will now proceed with number 6, public hearing on the application by LD Holdings LLC, doing business as Revolution, Lauren DeSalvo, managing member, for transfer of the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant license from Mill City Ballroom, Inc., Joel Asadorian, manager, for premises at 74 Merrimack Street. Legal notice published in the Lowell Sun on December 30th, 2016. It is requested that Sean K. Bryan be approved as manager of record for LD Holdings. LD Holdings has also filed applications for licenses for common vitler, entertainment in a licensed restaurant, for live music, disc jockey, jukebox, and for automatic amusement device.
State your name for the record.
Sean Bryan.
Hey, Sean, how are you?
Very well. How are you?
Good, good.
Lauren DeSalvo.
Lauren, how are you tonight?
Good, thank you.
All right. Council, I would ask if we'd have a few minutes just to go over this. We just received this, so if you don't mind, not to put another
Absolutely.
recess here, but if you can give us a few minutes, and we will have some questions for you. So you can be
Absolutely.
seated. You can be seated for a moment. All right? Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Counselor. Lauren and Sean, you can come up to the podium. So I do appreciate the security plan. Looks like the security has been obviously beefed up to quite a bit, a little bit more than I was expecting to see, so I guess that's good. I want to go into your place. Tell me what I should expect when I walk into Revolution. You can go right to the lectern, or if counsel, if you'd like to speak, it's fine.
Oh, thank you. I want it to be a place where you feel your daughter's safe, your niece, anybody that you care about, just to go out and have a good time and get home safe. That's basically what it's about. We also wanted to expand it, not just to be a nightclub, but we wanted to make it a place where we have other types of events there, like birthday parties, build up the kitchen in the bar so that it's more of a banquet hall, catering hall, also have different kinds of events like bingo night, and just expand on what it is now. It's pretty much one thing. And
So how many types of these events would you be holding?
it's in the process of being talked about. But
I need a better answer than that.
I would as much as possible. If I could have something happening 4 nights a week, that would be great. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday is the goal right now
Is the goal for
per week in the bar. I'm sorry, in the club.
the nightclub?
Yeah.
Right? Should your patrons expect a change from Mill City Ballroom to Revolution?
Absolutely.
Can you explain the changes that will be made?
Well, for one, Sean.
Field that one?
Yeah, Sean.
You may.
Sean is
Go right ahead. If you'd like to speak, go ahead,
he
Sean.
specializes in security. And
I'm the former head of security at a great many venues I won't waste time mentioning, but for the past 2 years, I've been a security consultant and staffing agent for bars and nightclubs across Massachusetts and Rhode Island. I've taken over for the past 2 months at Mill City Ballroom and Mill City Pub. We've had 0 incidents in the time I've been there, and we can plan on having very few to none in the future. That should be the biggest change, but we're also trying to expand into a game room for the second floor. We're trying to make it a much more family-friendly place to attempt to bring in the public instead of just bringing in the nightlife.
Explain to me game room. Can you expound upon
We
that?
have a second floor that's entirely unused, that is licensed by Mill City Suds downstairs, that hasn't been a venue for, I think, 15 to 20 years. It's just an empty space, and we'd like to eventually, this obviously isn't part of this hearing, but move in pool tables and some arcade machines, maybe video games, something to really bring in the public and make it a family-friendly atmosphere.
Okay.
And I can probably expand a little bit, because I've had some conversations with them asking just about the same question that you asked, and one of the responses that I've gotten is, increasing the lighting, having different types of music, dress codes, all things along those lines to improve the atmosphere and certainly the public reputation of the space.
Okay, so I'm hearing that we're gearing towards a family type of thing, but still a nightclub. What type of entertainment do we plan on having here at Revolution?
Well, I can tell you from my conversations with them, they've talked about having wedding reception parties there. That's been one talk. The birthday parties. People do sports, they rent out spaces.
I guess during the nightclub hours, we're talking. So what type of entertainment is going to draw your patrons in?
Go ahead.
We plan on gearing more to top 40 and pop music than what it formerly was.
there's also requests.
Please
for-
step
There's
up to
also
them.
been requests for like a battle of the bands, rock bands.
Yep.
And just country music also is very prominent. Also, I've been getting a lot of requests to include that also, which is the same thing. They'd have one promoter come in and just book maybe 4 or 5 bands that would consecutively put on like a little concert, one after the other.
I didn't get a chance to go through the full application, but you are 100% owner of the establishment, correct? Can you give us some of your background that would,
Absolutely. I have a strong advertising background, but I have managed restaurants and bars in the past. I have served alcohol before. I've been a waitress, cocktail waitress, and bartender, so I know a lot about that. Very familiar with cutting people off and just general knowledge of that. I've studied a lot about it. I've plans to study more about it.
but not nightclub situation?
No, not nightclub situation.
Okay.
That's where the professionals come in. I really would like to have professional people who are, you know, very experienced in security, deal with things like that, where this place has lacked it before.
Mr. Bryan, you said you've been employed at Mill City Ballroom for the last 2 months. Who hired you, Mr. Azadorian?
I was
as
a
a
former
consultant.
security consultant for Mr. Azadorian, but Lauren has brought me on as the now full-time head of security at that venue, and I've made a full-time home there rather than consulting for other bars.
If I could actually just add, guys, I do think it's an important piece of Ms. DeSalvo's background that is relevant here. It may not appear to the commission currently, but Ms. DeSalvo is actually a very fierce, no BS kind of lady. And I discovered that one of the reasons why is because she grew up in West Point, New York, with a military father and a military mother who met at West Point and who ran their house, very disciplined. And I, having gotten to know Ms. DeSalvo over the last months, I am very certain that she is going to run her ship in much the same way that her parents ran her house.
Is Mr. Salvo a resident of the city of Lowell?
I'm not
Do you plan on being a full-time resident of the
I-
city of Lowell?
seriously thinking about it, yes.
Seriously thinking about it?
Yes, I have family in the New England area.
I will tell you from personally that I would have a problem not having an owner being at his or her establishment.
Oh, I'm here every week. I would be here every week, every single week, at very least on the weekends.
All right, I'm confused. You're a resident of New York, correct?
Yes.
All right, but you're going to be here every day during the week,
No, on the weekends.
on the weekends?
At least on Saturdays, the busiest day of the week, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we've actually discussed that as a possibility. I know that the statute doesn't require residency for
Correct.
license transfers, but I did mention at one point that would eventually, could come up today. And, it's hard to plan a move when you don't know if the license will be transferred.
But I understand that we've
right.
made a substantial investment here, and I
Exactly.
haven't been a former bar owner myself. I was there 7 days a week, making sure everything was fine. I understand that you're hiring people that know what they're doing, but if it's your baby, it's your baby.
Absolutely.
And I'm not sure if 1 day a week cuts it with me. But I will yield to other commissioners with other questions. Commissioner Howe?
You had generally given us your employment background. For the past 10 years, could you just be more specific about what your employment has been?
Me?
Lauren, yes.
Oh, right now, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have not worked full-time in the past 3 years. I've been looking for something like this specifically, so I wouldn't have to, commute into the city every single day. So this is perfect for my life right now. And
So that's 3 years. What about the 7 years before that? Just your employment?
I was working in Manhattan as an advertising executive, broadcast production.
Broadcast production, is that the name of the company?
No, it was for different advertising agencies. I was freelancing for the past 5, and then with Publicis New York for 2 of them. It's one of the biggest advertising agencies in the country.
And what did you do for them?
I was a production, the head of my production department. I would shoot commercials for various clients.
Okay, so for the past 10 years, you haven't been involved in the management or running of any type of restaurant or establishment, is that true?
Yes, no, after I stopped working in the city, I managed restaurants in Bronxville, New York, and bartended in Manhattan, and was a cocktail waitress in Manhattan too. But for most of my professional career, I worked in Manhattan. Yeah.
On your filings with the Secretary of State, it says that you are the resident agent for service of process, and I'm just curious of how a New York resident can be a resident agent.
Isn't that our address? Pretty sure that my office is the resident agent.
No, it's LD Holdings, Inc., and it has the address of Merrimack Street. So I'm just curious how the 100% owner and the 100% member of LD Holdings can be the resident agent.
Well, if that's the way it's filed, we'll change that, because that's supposed to be our office, so.
Okay. How did you hear about this bar? How did you come to know about the fact that it was for sale, or?
I found it on Craigslist. There was a listing for it. I was looking for something like this. Like I said, I have family in this area, and I love the area, and I saw it, and I was investigating it, and it seemed like a really good opportunity.
So after you saw it on Craigslist, what did you do?
I contacted the owner, and then we began to work out a little contract, a purchase and sale agreement, and we've gotten to this point.
Okay. And I noticed that all of the mail, according to your paperwork, all of the mail is going to Merrimack Street. So do you have a procedure, if you're in New York, how that mail
Yes.
gets to you?
Yes, I receive everything. It's scanned and sent to me via email, but like I said, I'm here all the time. I have family in this area. I've physically picked it up.
And how did you meet Mr. Brine?
He was one of the people that we were investigating to keep, whether moving forward we would keep or not, and totally decided to keep because he has a strong benefit in his security background. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's perfect for this. And with him and Dave Healy behind me would be the only people that I would even consider keeping.
I was going to ask you that. So anyone else in that organization will not be
No,
participating in your organization?
not at all. Absolutely not.
We already fired everyone.
I doubt they'll be.
Sorry, what was that?
We already fired everyone.
And is Mr. Healy here?
Yes.
So can you explain why you wanted to keep both of them as opposed to everyone else?
Absolutely. Well, Sean, I've already told you about his security background, but Dave has very much experience being manager of record for bars. He has a lot of experience in bartending. He knows how to run a bar. He's done it very, very well for several years. And I just think that he is strong in that area and very worth keeping.
And I note in your application that Dave has been there, was at Mill City Suds from October 2013 to the present.
Yeah, he was a bartender. He didn't have any managerial duties, therefore is not responsible for anything that had happened before today.
Have you ever been a manager or a member of an LLC before?
No,
So are you aware of your duties as manager and member of LLC?
well, yes, absolutely.
Are you aware that you have a fiduciary duty to the corporation?
Yes.
And what is that, if you could explain, what's your understanding of that?
Well, that would be to keep up with every single financial aspect of the business, along with insurance, taxes, in,
It's probably hard
Sorry.
for someone to answer on their
Yeah.
own. I mean, when you're a 100% self-owned LLC, your fiduciary duty is to yourself, so it's a little difficult to answer that, but I think what she means is she understands that she's responsible. The buck stops with her for insurance, filing, liability, everything. All of those things stop with Ms. DeSalvo, and we've had a lot of conversations about, sort of like a checklist that needs to be done, and she seems very on top of it. I mean, all we do is represent business entities, we do business registrations, and she seems very well prepared and certainly well disciplined. If something needs to get done, we're going to make a list, we're going to check it off, we're going to do one by one, and it's going to get done. It's going to get done right.
Right.
I can tell you that Ms. DeSalvo has had that attitude since the day I met her.
I guess I have a major problem with her not living here. I don't understand how the one member and one manager of a company can be operating such an establishment in another state or from another state. I don't know what the operating agreement for the LLC says.
I suppose, in a sense, if you're, Friday's restaurant, you have shareholders or private equity owners that, they're not in the state. They have managers who obtain the license, and the managers are responsible for the day-to-day. But as I was mentioning before, I knew this was going to come up, and Ms. DeSalvo had indicated if this goes through and things work out, there's a very good chance she's going to end up moving here, because this is her baby. All the funds that she's using are savings, her savings from, working her butt off for, decades since a teenager. So I can tell you that she's not going to want to let that go to waste.
I can tell you that I'm very relieved that you saw this on Craigslist and that you fired everyone in that place, except for these two gentlemen. I don't know their capabilities, but so are you leaving the hiring process up to these two gentlemen for all the employees?
No, but they will have a very strong input in it. I plan to be very part of the hiring process, absolutely. I will physically be here for that. I wouldn't just do it remotely from New York. I would be here for all of that.
We schedule appointments and she arrives to examine the
Yeah.
applicants.
So Derek Irahita is not working there?
I don't know.
I'm sorry?
who that is.
I don't even know who that is.
No, he is not.
Okay, all right. I don't have any other question.
Commissioner Krieger.
Can you tell me why you think Mr. Asadorian had trouble and eventually gave up on these two establishments? What was his problem?
Want me
Is
to
that
answer
for me?
that?
Yes.
I didn't answer that one.
You can go.
No, I think that this question is for Mr. Salvo.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Short answer, I believe he underestimated the value of security and paying extra money to secure the safety of the patrons upstairs in the ballroom and in the bar. That is first and foremost. It's not an area in which you should cut corners, because with good security and safety, everything else will work itself out. If there's not a safe environment, what really is there? It's going to self-destruct, which I think it has. So that's hugely important to me. And it makes complete logical sense to beef up security, to have the right security guards, off-duty police officers, people who have a lot of experience, not just anybody off the street, but people who have a lot of experience in nightclub security and bar security. They will be working for me, and I will pay whatever I have to, because without that, there's nothing. So I think that's the most important thing, and where past owners have failed. That's just my opinion. And also the lack of knowledge in proper ID, as far as, this is a college town with college kids right across the street coming in, letting girls in because they're cute, not properly examining their ID to see if they're not them in the picture, or if they're fake IDs, whether it, whatever it may be. I think that there's also that portion of where there were some shortcomings, so.
And what about Mr. Asadorian's predecessor, Mr. Hayhurst?
I don't really know too much about that. All I know from that is that he partook in a fight. Now, as the owner, I think that that's the opposite of what you should be doing as an owner. You should definitely not be contributing to violence. You should be stopping it and avoiding it at all costs, so.
Thank you. Commissioner Donahue?
It appears that you've done some work on the history of
Okay.
of the building.
Yeah.
And it's not been a good history. I mean,
No.
there's been a lot of tough luck owners that have gone in there. I don't think they've spent the time, as you say, in the building or paying attention to the building. And I'm just wondering, other than the security, what are you going to do to make it an attractive place for not a bunch, a tough crowd going in?
Well, I know that I know that the city of Lowell has very strict, it's a historic town, and it has very strict guidelines as to what you can do with lighting. But that's to stand out. That would be one thing. I'll maximize whatever I can do to make it appealing. Changing the decor, changing the logo, just totally changing everything is highly important to me in the beginning.
Commissioner McCarthy?
Lauren, I have one question.
Sure.
Are you related to, or do you have any type of a relationship to any of the former owners?
No, absolutely not.
Nothing at all?
Nothing at all.
Thank you.
Commissioner Howe, did you have further questions?
I appreciate your focus on security.
Yes.
What about the service of alcohol? What about the safety in the service of alcohol? What will you be doing about that?
Well,
It's different from security.
I have taken a course on that. I've had Sean take a course on that and Dave take a course on that to prepare for this. I'm sure there's a lot more to do. But everything that is within the guidelines of the ABCC and the city of Lowell will be followed to the T.
And I think I saw in your submittal that we just received that all employees will be getting tip certified, even though it's not required in Massachusetts.
Absolutely. They're certified. They're in the process of renewing. Yeah.
So you had that before with Mill City? Yes. And what did you do as far as background check? Did you call any references for Mr. Bryan or Mr. Healy?
I interviewed them, and I have interviewed people who worked there also. Go ahead.
And the Corey checks for both of them,
Right,
which
I
the
mean-
city's done, so.
Yeah.
I submitted an extensive list of references and former employers, and I'd be happy to submit that to the council if that would be.
Right.
It's actually part of our application, so we already got that information from,
I was just wondering what you did
Personally?
as the owner of
Yeah.
this company to investigate the two people here.
Well, I'm sorry, just
I-
for the purpose of, you want to speak?
yeah, well,
Go ahead.
that was kind of my job, I guess, tasked with making sure that the two individuals who were going to be the managers that we were proposing, didn't have criminal records, would be, on their face, able to get the license. So both of them submitted Corey forms. I spoke to both of them about their criminal history, got their employment history. I did ask both of them, did they have any issues? Were there reasons they left that would cause a problem with the license hearing? So assuming that the Corey that the town does and that the ABC does doesn't pop up something that I wasn't told, we should be all set.
Right, I appreciate that, but I mean, if I'm hiring an employee, I usually call their prior references, and if people might not have criminal records, and they can be really poor employees.
Right.
So I just wanted to
Well,
point
I
that
did
out.
do research on his security company, this is the reason why I'm hiring Sean. He's a specialist in what he does, and that's pretty much it. There will be other people will manage the bar area, but that is key for that location. The club severely needs attention on that detail. Dave, I think he's perfect for many reasons. I've talked to people who've worked there, and they all have the same consensus about him, his experience. He's very knowledgeable about the city of Lowell. He's a big part of the community. I can't find anything bad anybody would ever have to say about him. So I think he's perfect for the bar and making sure that everything down there is perfectly run also on a daily basis.
Thank you.
I have a few follow-up questions, but before I do, I'd like to hear from Deputy Superintendent Webb and on his take on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you know, this location has been a problem location for a number of years. The police department, over the past 6 or 7 years, has responded to dozens and dozens of calls there involving arrests and assaults. It's the activity at this club has taken police presence away from the rest of the city to a detriment to the rest of the city. One thing I'm concerned about is it seems to be the same management team as Mr. Azadorian has. Mr. Bryan and Mr. Healy are involved in this new proposed management, as is Mr. Papulius. I see his name on some of the paperwork. This past weekend, we had officers at the location, and Mr. Papulius was there and identified himself as the manager. I don't know where Mr. Azadorian was. I don't know if he's out of the picture or not. Mr. Bryan just said they've already fired all the old employees. It seems to me that this new management company has taken over operation of the location without being granted the license first by this commission. And I'm also concerned that it sounds like Ms. DeSalvo will be an absentee owner, and this will just be a continuation of the same problems we had with the old management at that location, because the new management will be the same management as the old setup was. And I know the superintendent is very concerned about this, and we cannot support this application.
Thank you, Deputy. Just to touch upon what Deputy Superintendent Webb just said, I had heard earlier that you said that all the employees were fired, but I do see the certificate of completion for security guard essentials for Demetrius Papoulis. He is in employment.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Did somebody state earlier, or maybe I misspoke, maybe I misheard?
I did. I was absolutely not counting Demetrius.
Okay. So every other employee,
I was speaking of the bartenders and security.
everyone other than Demetrius Papoulis has been laid off or fired?
Demetrius and Dave, yes.
Okay. Counselor, maybe you can answer this. I have a question concerning the lease agreement.
Yes.
This lease agreement is full force in effect until September of this year,
Correct.
with 2 remaining options. Whose option? It doesn't state here on here. Is it the seller?
It's the tenant's option to renew.
It's the tenant's option to renew.
That's correct.
Okay. I'm having a problem with the timeline here on the employment, the starting employment timeline with Mr. Bryan, and the fact that Mr. Salvo has not been here except for maybe on Fridays and Saturdays. So once again, help me with this. He was hired by Mr. Azadorian prior.
As a consultant and staffing agent, I
All right.
helped him bring in new employees, but to attest to to Joel's problems, I worked there very rarely because he would not pay for security.
Okay.
He wanted to pay $60 a night. My guys never worked there. I occasionally worked there when we'd have a big event, but I was purely a consultant. I came mostly on Thursdays when he had something extra. Mr. Salvo has now over doubled the salary of all of her security. She pays for the best guys I've ever come in contact with. My door people are the best, and I am generally there myself. The underage problem will be over. The violence we will be more on top of than any other bar in this city. I understand the concerns of the commission and the police department, but they will be well attended to.
I do appreciate that comment, I really do. My question is, why didn't Mr. Azadorian pick up the phone in the last 2 years? And not just 2 months ago when this talk about a transfer here?
I can actually explain that one very well. At the time when Mr. Salvo came in, I had been employed because a former cook had gotten very, very fed up with Mr. Azadorian. I had showed up and began cooking at the venue. And that's how I met Mr. Salvo. I currently was not doing security. I was more or less running the kitchen out of my own pocket because I moved back here and had nothing to do on weekdays after I left Fall River where I was previously employed.
In your prior responsibilities in a nightclub, restaurant, can you,
I've been everything. I've been the manager of multiple bars, as the head of security of multiple bars.
it seems like head of security is your ballpark. I mean, it seems like that.
Security at this venue will be entirely my employees, and they are great.
And you had mentioned when you first introduced yourself that you had been involved in many businesses. Have you been the manager of record on many of
I
these?
have not been a manager of record.
You have not. You have not been. Okay. I'm curious, Mr. Salvo, in the brief time that you've been in Lowell, and can you tell me how many nights you've been here and watched Mr. Bryan in action, let's say, for lack of a better word?
Well, I think October, there was a violation for that Joel Asadorian was serving. So none of October. And just November and December, I would say about 10 to 15 nights.
So you were here during the week?
No, we're not open during, I don't
But
think
10 or 15 days since November, that's not 10, you can't have that many. December.
Weekends, yes, the week.
10 to 15 days in December.
The November and December combined.
She's also
Total.
been in occasionally for the applicants I mentioned before coming in to meet them.
Yeah, and meeting with the landlord and getting the elevator inspected, just general safety.
There's only so much you can do before you're the
Right.
licensee.
I believe
Sure.
that in the meantime of this being up in the air, it would be very, very difficult for Mr. Salvo to uproot her life and come to Lowell. I think if this goes through, she has every intention of that.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, for operations day to day at the moment, all major hours of operation, I live 10 minutes away. I will be there at all times, making sure it runs smoothly as is humanly possible.
And I do appreciate that comment. But
I have done a lot.
I have to 100% agree with Deputy Superintendent Webb that I'm getting an uneasy feeling about an owner who's put her life savings since high school, that's what quote unquote, and is not going to be here from day one, but only here on a Saturday. I have serious reservations about that. I really do. And if it was mine, and I'm putting all this money into this baby, you know what? If you had to rent a hotel for the first 30 days, I think I'd do it because it's yours.
Absolutely.
But you've just told this board that you're going to be here on Saturdays and leave, yes, you did say that.
No, I plan to be here as much as I have to. I plan as
See,
much as I
that's
have to.
have to
in the
and
beginning.
wanting to be here, that it's your business, and understanding the past of this particular bar room.
Right.
And not being here 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, I personally have reservations. I will not be voting to approve this, okay? I will not be. Now, I'm not speaking on behalf of the other commissioners, but the checkered past of this ballroom and bar is in the amount of resources that the city and the police department have put into sending people there on the weekends is way past. I mean, I don't want to see it anymore. And until Mr. Salvo can show me that she's going to be here 27 days a week, 24 hours a day, and I also like to see, personally, I'm not hearing anything that's going to change. I think it's going to be a nightclub. I think it's going to be the same thing it's always been. I do appreciate Mr. Bryan and Mr. Healy for being here, and that looks like their past are fine. I have no problem with it. But it's not their business. It's Mr. Salvo's. I'll yield. Commissioner
If I could
Krieger?
just add.
Sure you may. Go ahead.
Commissioner, I disagree. I don't think that's very fair to Ms. DeSalvo. And I wonder if the licensees, Mr. Asadorian and the previous one, were asked, are they going to be there 24/7? I don't know. But
They were. They did.
But they weren't. And to hold a new licensee accountable for the actions, the prior actions of a licensee that the new one has no control over, I think is a little, holding someone to a standard that's impossible to meet. You have a single mom who has kids. She's not going to uproot her whole family to Lowell when, on a whim, someone on the board can deny the license. Imagine if she had moved her whole family and her kids out of school up to Lowell, and then the board denied the license. That's completely unfair. If the board allows the license, I've had many talks with Ms. DeSalvo.
Yeah.
She's going to end up moving up here. Maybe that wasn't conveyed as succinctly as you wanted it to be. But how is the new licensee, the proposed applicant, supposed to pay penance for the transgressions of the prior licensee? If that was the case, no license would ever be transferred. Now, I don't understand. You have two you just said, very capable, good managers, and a woman who is extremely disciplined, highly organized, and that, Mr. Krieger, that's one of the things I would say Mr. Asadorian lacked, is organization and discipline. Two things that Ms. DeSalvo has in spades: discipline and organization. And since she became involved with this particular space, I wonder if the superintendent can respond to this, but I know that she brought on Mr. Bryan for the specific reason of making sure there were no more incidents at this space to jeopardize the license. And I wonder how many times the police have been there since Mr. Asadorian finished his suspension in October. I bet zero.
They were there once because the lights went out. But, sir, I must say, I don't disagree with your assessment on the surface, but it's because of your understanding. She may not live here, but she is on the phone with us every day on top of everything we do. Honestly, she scares me a little bit. She is there. She may not be there physically, but her presence is felt at all times. And I understand fully that she means to move here and manage this business, because she's managing this business without even physically being here. She is a good owner, and I've worked for a lot of owners. She would make a very good owner for this venue.
Thank you. Commissioner Krieger?
Yeah, I'd like to push back on past history not being important, and maybe it's because of my Air Force background and being in units, and some units just, they have a bad history. And the history may not be the manager, it may be the clientele, it may be the location, it may be the phase of the moon. But I think that since I've been on this commission, it's been a problem. I'd like to hear more about Ms. DeSalvo's Kellyanne Conway issues. She stopped working in downtown New York City to have family time. So how does she see that working out? If she could give us a little bit more of an idea, maybe that would help us.
Absolutely. I don't want to work for another person anymore. I'm an owner. I've worked my whole entire life, and this is an amazing opportunity to build something and turn it into something really great. And to start a business and start my family in a different place, and give it everything that I have. I mean, I can only do so much right now, and I have done as much as I possibly can. In the
Before you're
past,
licensed,
in the past several weeks, I've literally done every single thing I could possibly do within my legal rights to make this place successful, to set it up to the best way that I can accept it, and then change everything that I can possibly change about it.
So do you think that your arrangements will allow you to be free to respond at any time to
Absolutely.
issues at the bar
Absolutely.
without
What
having to
arrangements?
bring your child with you?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Commissioner Donahue?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a question. Who owns this establishment at the present time? Because
Joel.
I thought we were here to have a discussion of transfer of ownership, but it appears that someone's moved into the ownership position already.
Joel Asadorian is the owner.
Yeah,
Where,
he's the owner, but
Typically, the owner doesn't show up to the license transfer hearing, no.
I'm using my resources so that the license remains intact. Do you understand? Like, I am hiring consultants to ensure that the business doesn't have more violations, and the police are not called more, and they haven't. And it's, the past few weeks, several weeks have been just a small demonstration of what what I'm going to do.
where is Mr. Asadorian?
I don't know, but you had Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. And the only time the police were at that location was for the lights going out. I wonder if the superintendent can comment on that, because I think that's very important. If their concern is that the police have been there for all these, incidents in the past, and then not even yet with full control, Ms. DeSalvo is able to exert enough influence to keep the place orderly and disciplined, I think that really goes a long way to demonstrate, her resolve.
The security was never competent. It is now.
Deputy Superintendent Webb?
I would like to respond to the question about recent activity at the Mill City Ballroom. I think it's apparent from this conversation tonight that the new owner has taken control of this location without being granted the license first. And as far as recent activity, this past Saturday evening, there was an event at the Mill City Ballroom involving a couple of rap artists and DJs who were well known to attract gang activity. And as a result of that, the location was checked by officers from my department, and patrol commanders found it necessary to station several detectives from the gang unit inside the Mill City Ballroom at the city's expense, because there were gang members present from throughout the state.
It's not one.
So if that's an example of the management we can expect, we're in for trouble.
I don't know if there was an incident that was responded to, though, and I believe that the superintendent is talking about seeing a photograph on a Facebook page, and that's how they determined that someone they believe is in a gang was at the facility, but there was no incident. And a gang member could walk into a Fridays or church or this city hall or this meeting, and no one would know. But if there's not an incident, how can that be held against the prospective licensee? I mean, I just don't understand that.
The presence of the detectives and the police, in my opinion, shows that my security had no incidents whatsoever, because if they had, there would be a report of it from the police officer's stage in what we're saying is one of the most difficult situations possible. My security handled it without issue.
Yeah.
We had no reports from the police. We had no need for assistance from the police. And I do not intend to allow artists like that to continue being there when we have the new name. As a bar, when you're granted a new name and a new image, you at least get some surge of publicity and surge of people coming into your venue, and that's the point where we would still be able to make money while eliminating that former crowd. But it is impossible for a nightclub in Lowell with that former reputation to draw in new customers. To get away from that without, to an extent, catering to that type of crowd would bankrupt the bar. So maybe it wasn't the best crowd, but we kept it together perfectly. Even with a complete power outage, we had no incidents whatsoever. And if we had any incidents, it would be well known that we had incidents because, as he said, there was a police presence at the bar with us.
Was Mr. Azadorian there?
Mr. Azadorian was not there. I very much prefer that Mr. Azadorian does not set foot in there.
But, well, that's probably not the right thing to say since he's still the owner.
But even,
But
He is.
Mr. Azadorian's faults are not her, that shouldn't be counted against her. Ms. DeSalvo has done everything she could possibly do to turn around this bar.
Mr. Bryan, I understand that, and I concur with you, but it seems like Mr. Azadorian is out of the picture right now, and you people have taken control over this club.
Well, I believe it's just, we still have the same manager.
You just said it was your security. You just said that, my security, not Mr. Azadorian's security, your security. That means your people.
I mean, he's still paying them, but they are my hires.
Right.
Still paying him the $60, or is he paying you, because you said your people would not work for $60?
I believe that Mr.
I'm,
DeSalvo,
I,
But let him finish,
I'm using my
please. Let him
resources.
finish.
Yeah.
I believe that Mr. DeSalvo has made Mr. Azadorian see the fact that he will lose his entire investment unless he succeeds to our control, which would have already happened. So, yes, maybe Mr. Azadorian is a bit of an absentee. He is still the one functionally owning the place, but he's troublesome. As the commission, I'm sure you know that.
Okay. Any further comments from Commissioner Howe?
I have a comment. I don't have a problem with rap music and the crowd it brings. I don't have a problem with country music and the crowd that brings. So I appreciate your investment in this, and I think that if you were trying to get into another venue that didn't have the history of this, that you wouldn't be being grilled as much. The focus on, if you're changing it to a more family-friendly, and then you're beefing up the security, my biggest problem is you not being here, and also the lack of experience for running a place. But other than that, I'm going to support it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Krieger.
Part of our question is, if not this crew, who will come up and deal with this, or will this become an abandoned property, or will Mr. Azadorian soldier on with the problems we've had for the last several years? I think that I'm prepared to support this, but I would say that it's on a short string.
I understand. Thank you.
Any further comments from the board? What is the wish of the board?
I move we approve, and since I think we vetted the whole thing, we approve 6 and 7.
Do I have a second? 6 and 7 combined. Do I have a second on the floor?
I'll second that.
Commissioner Donahue on the second. I'd like a roll call, please. No.
Yes.
No.
Yes?
Yes, yeas, 2 nays.
Okay, on both 6 and 7. Can I take a roll call on number 7? Was that taken as 6 and 7? I just want to make sure we're talking about 2 different manager of records here. Go ahead.
First and foremost, this was a hearing on the transfer of I understand the principal here and
Right.
is involved with both transactions, but for purposes of the hearing, we were dealing with number 6, which is the transfer that an application had filed by LD Holdings from the licensee of record, Mill City Ballroom at 74 Merrimack Street, and that Sean Bryan, gentleman that's been speaking about security at length, would be the proposed new manager of record, and that LD Holdings has minor license applications, which are referred to as minor license. They're Common Vittler Entertainment for licensed restaurant, for live music, disc jockey, jukebox, and for the automatic amusement device. That would be the third floor. Now, I know there was a comment made at this hearing with respect to the second floor, but that's a separate matter.
Also,
Yeah,
my regression here, this is a public hearing, so let's not make that vote formal until we conclude a public hearing.
Okay.
All right, so at this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing no one, that portion of the public hearing is closed. I'd like to open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition, that portion of the public hearing is closed. The vote on the floor is 3 yea, 2 nay for item number 6. Would you like another vote on number 7, Ryan, because of different manager of record?
Well, I should read it for the record, or at
Please,
least
please
for
do.
the general publics who are watching this
Understand.
matter on local TV. So following up with the transaction that the commission had just approved, number 7 is public hearing on the application by LD Holdings LLC, doing business as Bar 74 Lounge and Grill, Lauren DeSalvo, managing member, for transfer of the all-alcoholic beverages restaurant license from Mill City Suds, Inc. Jan Mistrick is presently the manager of record for Mill City Suds, for premises at 7686 Merrimack Street. Legal notice was published in Lowell Sun newspaper on December 30th, 2016. LD Holdings is requesting that David E. Healy Jr. be approved as the manager of record, and also that LD Holdings has also filed applications for Common Vittler Entertainment and a licensed restaurant, live music, disc jockey, and jukebox, and for automatic amusement device. So just for the sake for the commission, this is a premises that includes the first floor and a second floor, but I'm not sure that everyone realizes that the second floor of the premises is not certified by the Developmental Service and Fire.
Correct, yep.
Even though it's listed as part of the licensed premises, it's not certified, and so for day-to-day operations, this particular licensee is only operating legally on the first floor.
Counselor, understand?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, good, very good.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Krieger.
I think we've vetted this. Suggest that we move right to the public hearing, and then I'll make a motion.
The public hearing for item number 7?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, we'll open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing no one, that portion of the public hearing is closed. At this time, we'll open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing no one, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Commissioner Krieger.
I move that we approve item number 7.
Second on the floor?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Howe. Roll call, please.
Chairman Dakota,
No.
Commissioner Krieger,
Yes.
Commissioner McCarthy,
No.
Commissioner Howe,
Yes.
Commissioner Donahue.
Yes.
3 yeas, 2 nays.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think, Mr. Nguyen, do you have to see them
Thank you.
about any other paperwork, Secretary Nguyen? Or are they all set, got to go to the ABCC?
Well, these 2 applications will have to be sent to the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission, and it will need their approval. It could take several weeks, it could take several months. But I'm sure Attorney Jacobs will follow these applications quite closely. They should be sent out, if probably not, maybe necessarily tomorrow, but they'll be sent to the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission by Tuesday of next week at the latest.
Form 140, you're going to get that out to them? Okay, great.
Monday is a legal holiday. We have Martin Luther King's birthday, so.
Thank you.
But try to, and yes, tomorrow is an early day. It's like 8, City Hall is open from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. So I'll try my best, but at least one of them could go out.
Okay. If you need anything, you have my contact info, please. Don't
Yeah,
hesitate.
you'll be the contact.
Thank you.
Wish you well.
I'd just like to thank you
Thank
to the
you.
board. That was a very in-depth.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
To you guys again. Yeah, why are we changing the address?
Commissioner's going to backtrack just one bit. We're going back to item number 5, and that's an application by an entity known as Aaron App Sellers LLC, Noel A. Powell, manager, a farmer winery, for a license to sell wine at a farmer's market at the premises at 250 Jackson Street, mill number 5. That's the 4th floor. This would be for Sundays, commencing Sunday, January 15th through June the 25th, 2017, for the hours 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Good evening. State your name for the record, please.
Good evening, I'm Noel Powell.
How are you, Noel?
Good.
Good. Things going pretty well over at mill number 5?
Yeah,
Doing well?
yeah.
Very good. Deputy Superintendent Webb, any problems with this application?
No problems, Mr. Chairman.
Questions, comments from the board? Move approval by Commissioner McCarthy, seconded by Commissioner Krieger. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Do a good job over there, Mr. Powell. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, the commission will now proceed with the number 8 on our meeting agenda, which is an application by the Colonial Auto Body and Sales Company, Inc., Robert R. Bolduc, President, to amend the Class 2 license number 309-B, which is a used car dealer, from the business address at 151-170 Perry Street to just 151 Perry Street, with an office 23 feet by 10 feet, there being an open lot of 60 feet by 75 feet. This is in a fence-enclosed area. Its site includes mechanical repair facility, auto body repair shop at 164 Perry Street. Just for the sake of the background on Mr. Bolduc's license, probably one of the oldest existing licensees in the city of Lowell. Goes back probably over 35 years.
Good evening. State your name for the record, sir.
Thank you, Robert Bolduc.
Mr. Bolduc, so Ryan, maybe you can help me with this. So we're looking to change the address
Well,
on the license?
what it was is that he came in, which, what I do is I send out notice, an application to renew for licensees for the new calendar year.
Yeah.
And Mr. Bolduc came in with his application, and he made it a point to me, he said, well, that he's no longer, and he's always been listed as 170 Perry Street as well. And apparently, he told me at the time when he came in about a week ago that the property had been sold. So I thought it would be best, before I made a
Right.
Scrivener's transaction, that at least have the License Commission be aware that this was happening. And then his application, and I'm not sure if you had a chance to review the email of his application, but it includes some very, clear pictures of his premises, and but nonetheless, the point is that he was eliminating 170 Perry Street. I'm not sure exactly if it's just a building or if there was any open space in that.
No, there was no open space at 170 Perry Street. Our lot was across the street at the time, and the office was at 170 Perry Street.
So 170 has now been sold to somebody else?
I sold that in September, yes.
You sold it in September. Oh, okay, so now the business is strictly at 151.
That is correct, yeah.
All right, okay.
So it's just a formality so I can,
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Any questions, comments from the board? No?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Donahue, seconded by Commissioner McCarthy. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Bolduc, good luck. You're all set?
I'm sorry.
You're all set.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
I'll have your new license ready for you first thing in the morning if you wish. Come by.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ryan. I can go back to Florida now, so, thank you.
I like your tie.
Proceeding with number 9 on our meeting agenda is the application by entity known as Damalso Motors LLC, doing business as Damalso Motors LLC. Juliana Da Silva is the managing member for second-hand motor vehicles license, it should read, for Class 2 used car dealer for premises at 147 Cambridge Street, an open lot approximately 7,500 square feet, and an office approximately 900 square feet. Just want to point out one thing in regards to this particular applicant. There is a lease agreement with the property owner, and it has to do with a limit of not more than 35 vehicles for the lot. But that's subject to the board's consideration.
Is that up to 35? All right, state your name for the record, please.
Juliana Silva.
All right, Mr. Silver, other gentlemen that are here, is that your husband, or?
Yeah, he's my
Okay, and sir,
Mr. Chairman, I'm Brian Bond, I'm the property owner.
you're the property owner?
Correct, and in fact, this property belonged to my father. He started a car business there in the late 60s. So I think we have the other guy beat by a few years, you know, so.
But he's going to Florida, and you're not.
Yeah, well, we'll be climbing mountains in the snow shortly.
There you go. 147, is that right before Stewart's there?
Correct.
Yeah,
Right on
right?
the other side of Cambridge Street. on
Right
the
aside,
corner.
yeah, okay. Is the plan to have 35 cars there, or are we looking to
35 cars.
35 cars? All right, 7,500 square feet,
Be closer.
Yes, 35 cars.
okay. Have you been in this business before, Mr. Silva?
Yes.
How long, and what have you done?
My husband, my husband used to be a manager there before,
Okay,
so I was there like most of the time
okay.
with him helping.
Mr. De Silva, how long were you a manager over there?
Well, me?
Yeah?
Since 2012.
2012,
Yeah,
okay.
Correct. Well, as a manager and kind of an owner, because the owner, he opened another dealership in Tewksbury. So I was the one responsible for everything, buying, selling, managing, the other employees and stuff like that.
It was an absentee owner?
I'm sorry, what
It
is
was
it?
an absentee owner?
Right.
Seems to be the theory.
That's why we didn't renew his lease.
Got it. Questions, comments from the board? Motion on the floor? Move for approval by Commissioner McCarthy. Seconded by Commissioner Krieger. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion's all set. Good luck. Sorry you had to wait so long.
Thank you.
All right.
No problem at all.
It was
Thank you very
educational.
much.
And they're both from Lowell. They live in Lowell.
It's not Dracut it's not Dracut politics,
No,
Mr.
no.
Bond.
Appreciate your time.
All right.
Proceeding with the next item on our meeting agenda is number 10, an application by Flavor Grill LLC, doing business as Flavor Grill. Kelvin Peralta is the managing member for a malt beverage and wine-only restaurant license for premises at 415 Lawrence Street. For License Commission ratification would be request for a public hearing be scheduled for Thursday, January 26, 2017. A legal notice is scheduled to be published in the Lowell Sun newspaper for Friday, January 13th. This applicant would be required to notify abutters, and the attorney is representing the applicant, and so the attorney is well aware of the possibility of notifying abutters as early as first of next week.
Motion by Commissioner McCarthy, seconded by Commissioner Howe, setting a public hearing for January 26. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Proceeding with number 11 is the request for a continuance by Attorney John J. Hardigan as legal counsel for the licensee, the Miller Street Village, Inc., on January 4th, 2017. I received this email request and spoke with Attorney Hardigan on the phone as well. He's requesting the continuance of this hearing that was scheduled this evening at January 12th to the next scheduled meeting, which would be January 26, 2017, and is pertaining to allegations of misconduct as charged by William M. Taylor, the Superintendent of Police, dated in a communication November 30th, 2016, against the Middle Street Village, Inc., doing business as the Village Smokehouse, 9298 Middle Street, Alan F. Kaplan, manager. The question I believe the board might want to consider, in addition to approving this continuance or voting to approve, is having the presence of a witness,
Yes.
and whether that would necessitate the law department obtaining a subpoena.
I would ask that happen, please.
Is that necessary, do you think? Would you?
I agree.
I did read
I've been in touch with a witness, but I haven't been able to contact him the past several days, so I would feel more comfortable if there was a subpoena.
Okay, so that's
Okay.
fine.
Can that
I'll
be,
notify the law department
that'd
of
be
that
fine.
request.
Thank you very much. Commissioner McCarthy.
Deputy, is there any chance that we could get a report from the police department on the number of times they were sent to that place in the last year? Smokehouse. Is that possible?
Yes, I'll get that information.
Thank you very much.
Motion by Commissioner Krieger to continue this to January 26, seconded by Commissioner McCarthy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Also, we have a communication from the Superintendent of Police, William M. Taylor, which is dated December 29, 2016. It's regarding Gary's Typico, Inc., doing business as Gary's Typico Restaurant at 26 Andover Street, and the manager of record is Bantroy de Los Santos. This would be request for commission to schedule a hearing on a disciplinary matter as it pertains to Gary's Typico.
I would ask the board's input. We look like we have we have an application for Flavor Grill. We have the Village Smokehouse. Is it all right to schedule this for our next meeting, or would everybody like to move this up to a month from now?
That would be February 16th.
Yep.
Okay.
Do we want to wait that long?
I'm happy enough to have it 2
26?
weeks.
All right.
We need to move quickly on these things so people understand we're serious.
Understood. Do I have a second on the floor? Seconded by Commissioner McCarthy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
So this is for the 26th?
Correct.
Okay. Number 13 is the Executive Secretary report. Following licensees of record have not been issued for 2017. The alcohol beverages license as of this past Tuesday, January 10th. These are licenses that pertain to common victual, entertainment, and alcohol beverages. Starting with Diamond Action, Inc., doing business as Lowell Spinners, 450 Aiken Street, Brian C. Lindsay, manager. Louis Lowell, LLC, 11 Kearney Square, Jonathan Joe, manager. Lowell Steakhouse, Inc., doing business as Bob's Bar and Grill, 490 Central Street, Robes Barbosa, manager. RKRG Corp., 16 Merrimack Street. Commissioners, that has been issued as of today. That was issued. And last is the Vibe Lounge, Inc., 197 Market Street, Stevens, Agoras, manager.
Didn't we just give the Vibe the transfer?
That was approved by the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission,
Okay.
and I have not had contact or received any contact from Steve Zagoras, who's the, so I'm going to assume that it's not open, it doesn't have a certificate of inspection or.
Right, right.
So these are matters that need to be addressed, possibly in the very near future. And I could probably reach out to Mr. Zagoras to see where this matter sits as far as his status on occupying the premises and doing whatever it needs to get ready.
Commissioner Krieger?
Yeah, I looked up 60 Merrimack Street on my computer map, and it has it in the front area of the Memorial Auditorium. Is RKRG the place immediately on the other side, the west side of the Concord
It's called
River?
Holly Crab. HOLLYCRAB. That's the business name.
But I'm asking about the location.
16 Merrimack Street.
Yes.
Which
and
is
so
down
I
by
looked
the
that up
right
on my
adjacent- right-
map, and it said that that was in the front area of the Memorial Auditorium. I'm just confirming that it's just on the other side, the west side of the Concord River.
It's on the right side of the Lowell Sun Building. Of the Sun Building, excuse me, not Lowell Sun, the Sun Building.
Right.
Right where the pawnbroker business is located, Lowell Jewelry and Loan.
Yeah,
It's right in between the Sun Building and Lowell Jewelry and Loan.
Coming right over the bridge, right on the right.
Yes. I guess I'm just saying that the
You're relying
executive
on,
secretary
you're relying on
should-
Google to direct you around the city?
I do. There are no street signs in Lowell, and therefore I depend on either Waze or my map, not Google. I don't use Google.
We should
in
do a
fact.
walking tour.
We may need a police detail for
I think
Commissioner
what-
Krieger.
I think what
Deputy Superintendent Webb.
I'm hinting at is the executive secretary should say, I'll check that to make sure the address is right. Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda, please.
Proceeding with item number 14, Executive Secretary, request to amend date of event of license granted on November 17th, 2016. The Lowell Catholic High School is hosting a parent night out. It originally was scheduled for the date of Saturday, January 28th, which had been approved for an all-alcoholic license. Roberta Bonds was the applicant and is now licensee. She notified the office last week that they had changed the date of that parent night out, and it's scheduled now from Saturday, May 6, 2017, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Lowell Catholic High School at 530 Stevens Street.
Motion by Commissioner Donahue, seconded by Commissioner Howe to amend the date. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries.
And last, before adjournment, would be a review of the subject of unpaid taxes in 2016 by licensees for alcohol beverages, secondhand motor vehicles, and common victular, which had been discussion continued from the last meeting on December 15, 2016. Just quick update, all of the alcohol beverage licensees that had been listed by the city treasurer as having unpaid personal property tax has been cleared up. Secondhand motor vehicles, there were a couple of issues with respect to excise tax, two of whom the dealerships, two dealerships in our city, were initially going to contest or challenge the excise tax. It was, one bill was from year 2000, but they decided to make the payment. Sometimes these excise tax bills are subject to an abatement, and the question is whether there was ever a response, a timely response on whether the abatement was given or not. But given the circumstances of, I had sent a notice of hearing, it was probably felt that that was in their best interest just to resolve it and pay the bill.
Fine.
The only concern I have is with, I have common victular licensees, 4 of whom have filed renewals and were listed as unpaid taxes. I have their checks for their license for common victular, which is a fee of $75. Our city ordinance would suggest that the licensing authority hold a hearing on whether these licenses should be renewed for their unpaid personal property tax. I checked last week with the city treasurer's office if these 4 licensees had made payment, and there were still outstanding bills due from 2016. So it's not as easy as dealing with the used car dealers or the alcohol beverage licensees, where I deal with them one-on-one. They come to the office to get their license, and if there's an issue, I can speak to them and suggest they speak to the city treasurer. I'll go to the office of the treasurer's office.
Is there any way of
and
sending a
resolve that
certified?
issue. And
Can we
that's
send
been
a certified letter? Can we send a certified letter?
Not to the common victular licensees, no. What I wanted to do is to ask the board whether how they wish to proceed on these particular business owners. I have the list here. The curious thing with these 4 as other common victular licensees, they all have been issued a food establishment permit by the Office of Developmental Services. And in fact, a health inspector could forthwith shut them down if they didn't have the food establishment permit. The License Commission doesn't have that means to do so other than through a hearing, and whether the type of business that's being operated there, for these are primarily either stores, convenience stores, that have maybe a sandwich concession, like a sub shop area. And they've been applying and have been licensees for a number of years. One individual who came to pay for his license, common vittler, and I suggested he go to the city treasurer's office, find out that he has a personal property tax bill of over $500. When he suggested to me he'd come back after the weekend, which was just after the 1st, and I've not seen him since. But it's a question of, does the city treasurer want these licensees to come before you to have a hearing on their unpaid bills, or is there other means of dealing with it? Because you have only the common vittler's license here, and they can still operate their business. They may not be able to serve their sandwiches or their sub shops or their food, but they may still have a valid food establishment permit, which allows them to store food and, in a discreet way, probably offer a sandwich or two in a packaged format.
Could we try to get in touch with them again? And if not,
I'll send them a notice and
let's set up a hearing, if they don't, in the next 2 weeks for February 16th meeting. We'll have them come in,
for the 26th or February 16th?
February 16th.
All right. I'll see what. kind
Once
of
they get
response-
their letter, if they don't pay it, we'll bring them in front of us.
Okay.
All right. Before we,
And last but not least is the minutes.
yeah, that's it. Held them off for you. Minutes from last meeting.
Recommend approval.
Wow. Wow.
Second?
Oh, you gotta take a vote on that.
Oh, yeah. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Maybe we need a roll call.
Any opposed? Aye.
Move adjourned.
Move adjourned by Commissioner Krieger, seconded by Commissioner Donahue. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Good evening, everyone.